Of course, one of the major responsibilities of the director is casting the play. And to do that, you have to have auditions. And the auditions would be scheduled by the producer, setting up the time, making the announcements, uh, um, making sure that space is available for the audition. But the director is there to find the best actor to satisfy his vision for telling the story. The director decides how to tell the story. And a major part of telling that story is finding the right actors to take on the roles. So you have auditions. If the director is directing the play as it's written, they will follow the character descriptions in the play. Sometimes directors have a different idea in mind about directing. They might want to cast it differently. Um, but the audition process is one where the director is looking for that person. Now, suppose I am directing Cinderella, and I am looking for the main character. Today, I'm auditioning Cinderella's, and we all have an idea of what Cinderella looks like. Who is Cinderella? And the image that comes to mind is the Disney princess Cinderella with blonde hair and blue eyes, and the classic um, image of Cinderella. And I'm directing, and as I am directing, I see all of these young women come in who are that type. They look like that or very close. And then all of a sudden, in walks this Asian actress, and she sings and dances and acts, and she's wonderful. And I, as director, look at her and realize this is the best actor for this challenge, and I say, I want her. Now, this goes against type. This goes against the whole idea of who Cinderella might be. And that is considered non traditional casting. Non traditional. I am going to take the best person in my pool of actors and I'm going to cast them in the play. If any of you, this happens all over the place nowadays, nowadays, but truly, um, directors are far more committed to creating a good production than following the rules of casting. Um, if any of you saw the performance or the production of Into the Woods at Sumter Little Theater, you noticed that that play was cast with the best actors in the city. The people who auditioned were cast with no or regardless of their ethnicity. They got the roles, and that makes for a really strong production. But ultimately, remember that the director is the artistic head of the production. The producer is the financial head. Now, the producer will work very closely with the decision makers for the theater, being the board, the members of the board who are responsible for selecting the play, working with someone like an artistic director. Theaters sometimes have a person who is in charge of the artistic movement of the theater. This is the type of theater that we are, the type of plays that we produce. We are a family oriented theater, for example. So the artistic director is committed to finding plays that will appeal to that family oriented audience. The producer and the artistic director and members of the board who are challenged to find these plays work together, and they consider everything. They consider the audience, they consider the size of the theater, they consider, once again, the human resources. Who do we have available to actually produce this play? Working together, they will come up with a season of plays for the theater to do. That is another function of the producer, working very closely with the artistic director as well as with the board of a theater in making decisions regarding the season schedule or the list of plays that the playwright or the theater is interested in producing. Chapter 15 brings us to the subject of acting. And I encourage you to read the chapter. I can talk about acting until I'm blue in the face because this is what I do. This is what I was trained to do. Um, and, starting out as a child, I think your text even says developing an interest in theater is something that happens a lot for young people, kids. We're all pretty creative at an early age, and we act out. The imagination of a child is something that mature actors wish that they could maintain and hold on to. Children are most creative when they're very young. But if you notice in a child certain things, their ability, first of all, to take direction, maybe follow suggestions. Second, their movement, their ability to move and speak and tap into that creative imagination that kids have. These are the building blocks for actors, little actors. But beyond that, the most important thing you can do is train. Now, there are actors who learn how to act by acting. Um, and historically, when we talk about William Shakespeare's acting company, we find out that the actors in that company learned how to act by observing other actors. They were apprentices and they watched the professional actors acting, and that's how they learned. And a lot can be learned by observing others. But, excuse me, there's always uh, a need for training. And in this country, the best training ground for professional actors happens in colleges and universities. Um, Colleges have a structured program for actors. And when actors graduate from college, sometimes with a degree in theater, sometimes not, they can go on and continue their studies and train in an MFA acting program. That's a Master of Fine Arts with a concentration in acting. Um, Please read this chapter. There are a few things that are important to know. Um, One is that actors rely on the given circumstances that the playwright provides for them in the play. And given circumstances are the unchangeable facts in the play. Playwrights create characters on four levels: physical, social, psychological, and moral or ethical. The physical is obvious: the age, the ethnicity, the gender of the character, any specific uh, um, issues that the character might have, age, physical challenges, all of that speaks to the physical aspect of the character. Social is as it sounds. Where does your character fall in the social structure? Are they rich? Are they financially challenged? Are they somewhere in the middle there? Psychological is probably in terms of developing a character, it's the aspect of character that's going to give you the most information, because the psychological aspect of the character speaks to the character's motivations, objectives, desires, wants. Every character in every play is there for a reason, and every character wants something very specific. And the degree of their desire to attain that thing drives them. That um, gives them that focus, that objective, that need. I'll be back.